think more and more as Dharma is being taught and as Dharma is being practiced, what is happening is it's feeding into the intellectualization of the mind. So people are becoming very learned in Dharma, and people are very well versed. You've heard the teachings again and again. Many of the teachers are so kind in giving so many teachings in the oral form. Now so many are available in written forms. Tapes and recordings are easily available. The modernization of the many different kinds of internet and the technological developments have made teachings very, very accessible. So because of that, the knowledge and the nourishment of the mind and the intelligent mind is very, very good at the same time. But for whatever reasons, I'm not sure, and I've been trying to think about how it happened, but the force of how Buddhism spread into the West has taken on to being so much a lecture. And that's why people do say, I will attend your talk, I will attend your lecture. And there is not so much a sense of living the Dharma. So of course, I'm sure most of us take teachings or we teach teachings with the intention that this is what you're going to practice. If I ask you a direct question, do you realize that you have to practice what you are receiving as teachings? Everybody will say, yes, I realize that. But on the other hand, the approach of it and the structure of our sanghas is such, the communities are such, that it's become very, very much an intellectual pursuit. And so the intention, although there is bodhicitta, although there is the realization and the importance of bringing about realization of wisdom and cessation of suffering and cause of suffering, nevertheless, there is also a great deal of relating to it as an out of intellectual curiosity. I'm going to see how it feels like. I wonder how it is. I guess it is like this. I think that is not so. I think this is very difficult. So the way you are relating to the teachings becomes much more a relationship to any subject, like maybe no different than relating to historical histories, for example, or talking about a mathematical deduction, or talking about anthropology, or subject as interesting or not as interesting as archaeology. So it's a sense of relating to it with some amount of interest, but if that then affects the power of cultivating it in one's own life, then it doesn't become living Dharma. It doesn't become actually being part of the view that is evident in every aspect of your own life, such that every breath you take it with the view of the Dharma. Every interpretation that you have of life and relation to the environment or the phenomena is done with the perspective of the Dharma. So that if you are angry, there is a Dharma practitioner getting angry, which is different from a person who is just in abject anger. In the same way, when you are looking at things and making decisions, there has to be a Dharma practitioner that makes that decision. Whether the decision is right or wrong, that's the second thing. But in the beginning, even if it's a wrong decision, even if the decision is infused with defilements, there has to still be a Dharma practitioner, somebody who has seeped one's being, one's mind in the culture of Dharma, the view of the Dharma that looks at it, which is, I think, very, very essential. And if that is something that is discussed more, that is felt more, then probably there will be a much more, I think, healthier growth of the Buddha Dharma, which is not only an increase in knowledge of the philosophy of Dharma, but daily life and living becomes instilled with the Dharma. So then, that I think will defeat the whole sort of situation that has happened where people are seeing practice and life as two different things. And so then the obligation happens. If you see Dharma practices as something different from your daily life, and your daily life's activities does not carry the flavor of the Dharma in how you are relating to everyday situations, then practices become very obligatory. You are obliged to practice the Dharma. Obligation is always burdensome. Then everything becomes a burden. And that's why sometimes I think people are not really very happy being Buddhist. So it's too late to go back, and already too much to sort of reverse the whole process. You can't really rewind the whole process. If you really had the possibility to rewind, how many of you would have rewound? Isn't it? But at the same time, it's somehow although we have a lot of love and respect and trust to the Dharma and the teachings, and we're very grateful for it, but there is a little lacking of the absolute joy of having found the Dharma. So sometimes that's very strange to see, because if we look at it from the profundity of the teachings and how much truth there is in the teachings, Buddhists should be a lot happier than we are, isn't it? And I'm sure we're happy, but then that's a kind of a very reserved happiness, or maybe we're not showing our happiness, I don't know. But by all means, a lot of the sort of joyfulness, sense of having met with something really valuable, truly of great purpose and usefulness, a kind of a jewel, wish-fulfilling jewel. And so if you found a wish-fulfilling jewel, how happy would you be? And in comparison to that, Dharma is 1,000,000 billion times more valuable than a wish-fulfilling jewel. So that should itself be evident, so bring about the evidence of great happiness, great joyfulness at one's fortunate circumstance. Now, if that joyfulness was there, then practice becomes such an easy thing to do. Practice is just bookmarks. It's just small bookmarks that constantly remind you of the continuity that one must hold in one's own mind, the continuum of awareness, the continuum of Buddha nature, the continuum of awareness of bodhicitta, continuum of not creating negative karma, negative causes. So it's just much more a sense of just gentle reminders that allow your continuum to become better and better. It's like when you build a fire and you put more wood in it, and the fire retains the continuity and becomes more glowing and able to more shed light and warmth. In the same way, the practice is simply add in the fuel of strengthening the continuum of awareness, and you're very happy to be able to do it. That's where daily life and practice blends in.